I already have a board that I report to. Don't tell me I have to report to an AI agent now.
There's a lot of people that have been reporting to an AI for 10 years. Who are they? They're the Uber drivers, the Kareem drivers, the Lyft drivers. They already report to an AI.
In this episode, I'm joined by Jeremiah, tech analyst, investor, and general partner at Blitzscaling Ventures, who's been at the heart of Silicon Valley's biggest tech waves for over 2 decades. From Web 2.0 to the sharing economy to Web 3, Jeremiah now sees AI agents as the most transformative shift yet. We talk about why AI agents are poised to replace websites, apps, and even some jobs, and how they'll reshape everything from customer service to how startups are built. Jeremiah shares the AI tech stack, the industries being disrupted first, and what it means to live like a billionaire with AI agents. Plus, he breaks down how companies can prepare for a post-website internet, what makes a great startup, and the biggest mistakes founders are making today.
You've been tracking emerging tech trends for years. What makes AI agents the most disruptive shift you've seen?
Oh, yeah. So, hey, everybody, I'm Jeremiah. I've been in Silicon Valley for 27 years. So I've seen .com, Web 2, the sharing economy, Web 3, and AI. And, there's one thing that is an indicator to me, because I've been a local, is the level of traffic on the main freeway, which is called Highway 101. And the freeway is packed right now, and that's a sign of the economy booming. And the other thing that outsiders can't tell is that 1/3 of the billboards, by my count, are about AI. Not Rolex, not Land Cruiser, not Toyota. It's about AI. So that's kind of the insider secret, like how we can tell the vibe. But from a very strategic reason, AI is very important. And there's a couple of reasons why this one is a big one. As big as .com is because it's accessible. Everybody can use it. You can instantly get efficiencies. And 3, businesses and governments wants it, especially during times of economic uncertainty like right now.
Oh man, I couldn't agree more. And you've spoken about the explosive growth in AI startups. What is the key inflection points that signals AI agents are becoming mainstream?
I don't think AI agents are mainstream yet, but they will be, because you can see them. They're starting to be integrated into Google and to Salesforce and into OpenAI. And then there's hundreds, thousands of startups that are building AI agents, many of them who we invest in, that are trying to make these also just normal tools. Big corporations are adopting them as well, and governments as well. And so once we start seeing these rolled out, where they're commonplace, I think the most common way we'll know that inflection point is when you say, hey, I want to book dinner tonight at that cool restaurant. Agent, go make it happen and invite my 5 best friends. And it goes and does all those things for you. Or you say, hey, I need my meals together for the next week. Go plan a meal that's fit for my diet that I want, and make sure all the restaurants are lined up, all the food delivery, and all the right food is in my refrigerator. So those 2 indicators would be great ways for us to think about, like, how does that work in our personal life? Now, in a business life, an AI agent is totally ready for mainstream when we say, hey, prioritize all my emails and tell me the important emails that I need to respond to, and draft the first response and let me take a look. So that would be a sign for personal productivity, because none of us are at inbox 0. Well, if you are, it means you put a lot of our emails on spam, or you're just not reading it. And then the one in business is, imagine you have to develop a report, your monthly report, and you ask the AI agent, hey, go collect the data from disparate locations all over the place, from different cloud systems, and log into different apps, and bring it into one place and fix the report for me and prepare it. So those 3 examples, those personal, productivity, and businesses, once those are in place, I think that's when we know it's mainstream.
One of the exciting concepts that I hear you talk about is the AI tech stack. Where do AI agents fit in, and what are the biggest bottlenecks to their adoption?
Great question. The AI tech stack, which is the diagram I put together around 2023, there's like a couple layers. So at the bottom layer is the data layer. And this is where these large language models and AI agents are getting their data. By the way, most data is estimated that 80% is behind a private cloud, whether that's a personal cloud, a government cloud, a business cloud, or military cloud. We actually don't know the total size, but most of the large language models have only been trained off the public data. Most of it's text. So there's still a lot of data to be gripped. The next layer is the infrastructure layer. This would be machine learning ops. By the way, I'm only talking software and data. I'm not talking hardware right now. And the next layer would be machine learning ops, operations, interoperability, developer tools. That's a middle layer there. We've done some investments there. The next layer is the application layer, which traditionally right now is the large language models, whether that's Claude or OpenAI or Gemini or Llama 3 or Falcon out of UAE. So those would be the large language models. And then at the top layer, this is where we're starting to see the AI agents emerge. And this is where the apps are emerging. And there's a separate category of AI agents.
What's an AI agent?
AI agent is an autonomous software application. Now, it's different than a bot. A bot is often pre-scripted and only follows a path. A bot is deterministic, where the outcome is almost always the same, using if, then, this statements. Now, an autonomous agent, and I run the largest autonomous agent events in the world in Silicon Valley, is different. They are determining, first of all, it can sense, number one, it can sense the world around it. Like you can read content, context, private information, or physically have visual sensors, cameras, or can listen, right? So it knows what's going on in the environment. Two, once you give it a task, it understands that task. It may ask for clarification, and then it will come up with a path to complete those tasks. Now, here's the interesting thing. They're often calling large language models, natural language processing, to determine the paths to take. And so each time the path will be non-deterministic. It will be a different path it might take each time. And unlike a bot, an AI agent will complete those tasks, and then it can refine or improve. Lastly, an AI agent does something different than a bot, where it can hire, recruit, or build other agents to work together as a swarm. So think of an AI agent kind of like a junior employee or a college grad that you would hire. It is more advanced than other technologies. That's an agent.
What's an example of an AI agent today that most people underestimate?
Yes. We invested in Crew AI, which is a Brazilian company. The founder is from Sao Paulo, and he's relocated to Silicon Valley. And it's an open source AI agent, and it's powering many enterprises around the globe. Despite the company only being 18 months old, they are already deployed in 60% of the Fortune 500. Wow, that's incredible. So it's already powering a lot of enterprises. What's the use case? Well, I looked at the data. They showed me the pie chart of use cases, and they're just all small slivers. Every department is using them in a different way. I think the most baseline way that enterprises are using agents right now is sifting through the data that already exists, because this is safe, right? Without taking any action, and then reporting back on what it did learn, and then you can access it and you can collect information, collate and aggregate. So it's like doing research bots are like the first use case that we tend to see. So many enterprises are already using that because they don't quite trust agents to complete the actions yet. So 60% of the world's largest companies are already using AI agents. Many of them are Crew. They also compete with LangChain, LangGraph as well. That's another player. So those two compete in the space. So that's what's already happening.
So you mentioned that you invest this company in Brazil, but and you invest in several AI companies. Do you have any specific geography that you like to invest in, or you're like geography agnostic?
We are investing all over the globe. We've also invested in Canada and India in the AI fund. So I work at Blitzscaling Ventures, which is based on a famous book by Reid Hoffman and Chris Ye. Reid actually reviews our deals before we invest, which is a huge advantage. We will invest all over the globe. But most of the deals are likely to come from Silicon Valley. That's where I live, and that's where I meet founders and I run events, and I talk to them, and they're like, around me.
And when you're looking for a startup to invest, what exactly the thing that you're looking for? Is there any specific
that's a great
domain?
question. My mandate is to find blitzscalers. Now, blitzscaling is based on a Stanford class that Chris Ye and Reid Hoffman taught. And then they published the book called Blitzscaling, which published in 2018. And the question of the class was to find out, why does Silicon Valley have so many giant tech companies? And they figured it out. It's not talent, because there's talented people all over the world. It's not the weather. It's not that. It's not government support. It wasn't getting VC money. You can get investment money anywhere, right? So what was it? And they found out it was actually the business models. And blitzscaling is about radical growth, even when it's not efficient. I kind of butchered that. They say it more eloquently than I do. But essentially, it comes down to two major business strategies that we look for. So we are a business strategy VC firm. The first thing that the company needs to have is a growth capability. And so we look for viral effects, or that's also called product-led growth, or it has distribution strategies where another company or another reseller is selling it on behalf of them. And what I'm looking for is, does the product naturally spread and expand on its own without marketing, without sales, and without advertising? Let me give you some examples. On the consumer side, every social network does this. Every marketplace, people are reselling stuff. They're going to promote their page where they're selling things. But also on the business side, Slack, DocuSign, App Exchange from Salesforce. They were at my event last night. It naturally spreads. It has these viral effects. It spreads throughout a company. It spreads company to company. It spreads individual to individual. So that's the main criteria. Number one, we have a scorecard. The second criteria, the main two criteria, is called a network effect. And a network effect is when the value increases of a network when every new person joins. So as an example, marketplaces, every new seller that brings in new buyers, more buyers brings in more sellers. Uber, Airbnb have those models. Also with the social network, you're not going to go to a social network with 10 users. I mean, that'd be a chat room. That's very different, but you can't expand it. So a social network with 1 billion users, that's more valuable because you can connect to all of those different people. So viral effects and network effects are the two criteria that we look for in our investments. And that's what Reed is expecting us to find.
Man, that's insane. That's a great scorecard to have. You pretty much remove the 90% of the noise out there.
Yes. Even the first filter, like, do you have viral effects, and show me the data? Like, I can screen like really fast.
A lot of our audience they feel FOMO right now and they want to jump on the AI agents wagon. And they ask a question, which vertical they should target. Is it health tech, insurance tech? If you would give us an advice, there's any area that we'll be interested in?
Yes. So health is a great example. That market has been underserved, and it's challenging because in the US, there's regulations called HIPAA. So just personal data makes it challenging, and any healthcare company that you might partner with or consumers are going to have distrust over any agent acting or getting information. So that is an area to definitely tackle. Also, gaming has been underdeveloped in the space for AI agents. We haven't seen too much in that category. I'll tell you the categories that are overdone and I don't want to see any more deals is customer care or marketing agents. I've seen so many right now. It's like, I can't tell them apart. We don't know who's going to win. So as an investor, I'm just going to wait until it shakes out. And then once I see a clear winner, then I'll probably try to clinch with that founder, if they'll take me. But it's just too crowded. It doesn't make sense to deploy unless I have a tremendously large fund to deploy across 10 competitors.
I have someone that coming on my podcast soon for customer care and sales rep, which is, again, this is their AI agents, but you're seeing this is pretty much a red ocean right now.
Bloody red ocean. There are so many companies doing that. And don't forget, not only are you competing with the startups in that space to the left or the right of you, but the tech giants, both HubSpot and Salesforce are headed this way, plus every other enterprise software company. So you're going to be competing with the existing tech giants, right? So it's just a really challenging spot to be in. If you can do it, great. That's fantastic. And I think in general, it's just the hard category because you're selling to enterprises. It's an 18-month sales cycle typically. So it's just a hard sell.
But
okay,
I heard
so
you once
good?
talk about the 100 agent personal workforce. I'm just curious, what does that look like for the average person in the next 3 to 4 or 5 years?
Yeah. So imagine an individual has many AI agents working for them. I don't know if I said 100, but I think I have some, or maybe I said that in the past, but I definitely got some new thoughts and I'd love to get your feedback on this. So my current thought is that yes, we will have AI agents that will be doing our bidding for us. How many? And I have 2 answers for you. Okay, ready? I think you're going to have, so there's 2 types of agents. Let me just define that. There's your meta agent, or your primary agent. That's the one you interface with and talk to. Like in the Iron Man movies, that's Jarvis. But in what's really happening though is the meta agent is actually recruiting other smaller agents, like called execution agents, to actually complete specialized tasks that we already know it can complete, especially if you're going to do something specific. For example, you're going to say, I'm coming out to Palo Alto. I need a restaurant and I need hotel and I need to, take my girlfriend on a date to a cool place that she doesn't know about. Like, so your primary agent's not going to have that, but there's already an existing execution agent in the local region that can do that. Okay. So how many primary agents will you have? I think the answer is twofold. Number one, the answer is you'll have as many as you currently have email accounts. So I would love to hear from you. How many email accounts do you have right now?
That I actually use 4, 5, 6 maybe.
Yeah, so I think that's how many you'll have. So you probably have one that's personal. You probably have one for this amazing podcast. You probably have one for like your family or career. And if you happen to work at a big company, they would issue one and they take it away later, right? So you could see how it could quickly get up to 4 or 5. Now the second answer to the question is you'll have as many as you can afford. What does that mean? Well, AI agents are not free. They're those companies who are building them, it's going to cost money. Even if you grab an open source one, you still got to pay for the cost, the hosting, the inference, the web services, whatever it is. Now, if you don't pay for an AI agent, it actually means the AI agent is the master and you're working for it. For example, some of the retailers are offering free AI agents like Amazon. Well, it's included in Prime, but basically it's recommending products, and every product it recommends, of course, is part of Amazon. So you're technically working for it because it's cheap or free, right? So that's my answer on how many agents that you'll have. Now, your question's great. So we are expecting, this is a common trope in Silicon Valley, that we're going to see an AI startup. By the way, there's 32,000 AI startups, I believe, at this point. There's a lot. Some of them are just AI agents already. But I think we're going to see some startups that they only have around 3 employees, and they have thousands of agents that work for them. And the employees would be a CEO, CTO, and a COO, right? So the CEO is going to be market facing, talking to customers and press media and conferences. CTO is actually going to run the agents to do whatever the business goals are. And the CEO is going to run finance operations, servers, and, get everybody paid. So that could be a 3-person team. And they everything else is AI agents. That is a possibility. We expect to see that. So let's take, for example, Crew AI, who we invested in. The team is tiny. I think it's like 20 people or 25 people. It's very small, but they have 250 agents working for them. Their own agents, of course, Crew agents. And they're already in 60% of the Fortune 500, right? It's like, how do you scale that fast? They're using agents. So it's already agent native.
So I was gonna say that it's a little bit in the future, but you're telling me that you already have some companies that already have deployed multiple agents that can help them.
Yes, of course, they're going to drink their own champagne. They're already using it.
How do you see AI agents evolving from co-pilot assistants to fully autonomous decision makers?
That's great. And that's a natural lineage of progression for these tools. So a co-pilot is typically embedded in an existing app, right? You can see like there's co-pilots in the Microsoft product, and Gemini is like being embedded in your Gmail and in my Google Docs. I just saw it pop up on our Google Doc that we're working on for the show, by the way. Like I see Gemini is like infiltrating it. It's happening already. So it's embedded, right? And so the next one would be an AI assistant. Not everybody agrees with this term, by the way. So an AI assistant to me is floating through different apps in a suite. So Microsoft suite of products, 365, right? So they have Doc and PowerPoint and Outlook. So the assistant would go through all of those apps in the Microsoft ecosystem. In Google, there might be a Microsoft assistant that would flow through the Google apps, Google Docs, Google Slides. And then Apple would have its own assistant, which is called Siri. And then the third level, this is the way I look at the world. Not everybody agrees. An AI agent should be able to seamlessly float between all of those apps and all of those ecosystems because it works for you, and it should be, and you give it the login so it can go into all those systems. Obviously you need to trust it a lot. So that is the natural progression. And most of us are only really comfortable with co-pilots right now in app. So it's going to take a while. And even me, I'm like cautious of like who's going to see all my data because there's a lot of stuff in my personal email.
You mentioned that AI agents will fundamentally change how we interact with the internet. What does the post-website era look like?
Woohoo. Now, I just want to brace you. This is a scary topic for many internet professionals. So here's our thesis. So right now, humans are traversing most websites, going around clicking on stuff. Leave bots aside. So it's mostly humans. Now, in the future, you're going to have an AI agent, and you're going to tell that agent, hey, I'm going to travel to Bangalore. Go collect all the information about the weather, visa information, find the hotels. Here's the login to my flights. Book all this stuff for me. And the AI agent's going to go collect all that information, bring it back to you in one place for you to review and complete those actions. That means a human is not going to go to the airline, hotel, the restaurants. It's going to do all those things for you. So as a result, it also means that part two of the thesis is that the AI agent will reassemble the information in a new interface in the way that you want. And you don't actually have to leave that interface. If you like text, great. You like video, great. You want audio, you choose. Do you want a lot of information, a little, or a summary? You choose. You want it at morning, noon, or night? You choose. And so you don't have to go to the internet. This also means you don't have to see ads anymore, right? So the key insight here is that the content and data layer of the internet is about to decouple, rip apart from the presentation layer and be reassembled in a way that you want. Advertisements are not needed. So that's what I see in the future.
So let's say if I want to Google the best recipe for butter chicken, the agent will go find all the recipes, and you mentioned isn't choose the medium. It will generate, let's say, a video, AI generated video on how the process will look like, and it will display it to me.
That's right. And you wouldn't have to Google or anything because the AI agent would do that. And it would also analyze the items in your kitchen to see, do you have the right pots? Do you have the right ingredients? And it's recommend like, what do you need? And then it might create a video for you or augmented reality of how it would be prepared in your kitchen. You could take a photo of your kitchen with all the cabinets open, and you can figure out what all the pots are. Then it would do generate the video for you, specifically for you.
Is investment, because there's a lot of investment in AI, billions and billions of dollars, does it make sense? Does it justify? I mean, there's a return on investment. I don't know. I'm not sure. What do you take about it?
Large language models are very expensive and they cost billions of dollars. It's like $1 billion to pre-train it and to get all the chips. And in today's economic world, good luck getting the chips. It's very expensive. And so that's why the government of UAE helped to fund the university to launch Falcon in both English and in Arabic, right? So you need a lot of resources to make that happen. So it's large language models are not an area I'm investing in because it's going to be hard for them to get an ROI. But the AI apps and AI agents, which are apps, that's where we're investing. Their costs are very low. It's mostly talent web services. Many of those companies are virtual. Sure, a couple of them have offices, but the cost, they only need a few million to get going. If that, or even just like 100K to show a proof of concept. So let me just give you the ranges of what we're seeing. So a seed stage company, which is just starting to get some traction and they have a product in market, they're raising $3 to $5 million on average. And now the next level would be a Series A, and only a few companies get there, around 20%, I think. They're raising around 20 to 30. If they're hot stuff, then maybe way more than that. So they don't need a lot of capital. They're actually very capital efficient compared to the tech behemoths. You think about Google. Google has 160,000 full-time employees, but little Perplexity, which is generative AI search, has just a few hundred employees, and OpenAI has just a few thousand employees, and they're already competing with Google. So if you added just the size of the company of OpenAI and Perplexity, and you think about them as search tools, and they're competing with Google, a $1 trillion company who has hundreds of thousands of employees, you can see that the startups are very capital efficient.
Can you talk a little bit what is Falcon AI before I talk about it?
Yes. So obviously you're going to know way more than me. Falcon AI came out of the university, and the UAE government helped to prop it up. They have they're a large language model, and it's for the local region often. So it's trained on 2 languages. This is what the team told me. One, they've trained on English, and they've also trained one on Arabic. Now, why is it important to train a model on your local language? Well, the customs are different. The culture is different. The syntax different. If everybody used an English-based, US-based LLM, it's not going to work well for that market. It's going to hallucinate, or it's just going to be off tone, or it's not going to understand the culture. By the way, Japan has done one that's called Sakana. Germany's done one. Russia's done one. India's done one. France has Mistral, right? So it's like kind of like this global phenomenon, right? But I want to hear from you. Like, you tell me.
I mean, very early on, we had a lot of conversation here with the government. Do a small government, do a small country like the UAE need their own LLM model or not? And there were two school of thoughts. I was one of the people that no, we don't really need. Let's build on top of what's actually available, because I think eventually LLM models will all converge, and ChatGPT, for example, will have the nuance of the Arabic language. Again, that was my assumption. But you're saying no, that there's a certain value of having a small country like UAE have their own LLM model.
So I think there's around 350 countries or something like that. I don't think most of them will ever do it. And I don't think most of them can afford it. And I don't think they can do it right and sustain it. So you're right. There are these global giants that will end up being very successful and everybody will call upon them. And then you would use RAG, retrieval augmented generation, to go get the customized language model for UAE. In fact, Dubai probably has its own culture that's slightly different than, Abu Dhabi, right? Just slightly different, right? So you might have calling RAG just for that specific culture. Certainly the restaurants and hotels are different, right? So you can see why one large language model would serve all of them and just have that network effect that it spreads. But I think that the countries that can afford it and they have a very specific culture, like Japan, very specific culture, right? It's really not spread like the Arabic language is in many countries, right? It can be used across that area, but for Japan, they kind of need one that's fitted for their culture.
AI agents are changing enterprise workflows. Which industries will be disrupted first, and how should companies prepare?
That's a good question. So which industries will be disrupted first? I actually think we should think about it first from a departmental lens. Companies that need to talk to many consumers at scale, but provide personalized experiences, they are adopting first. So we already know, and I heard the CMO of Pfizer speak, and he said that this was, by the way, a year ago. So the data could be a little bit dated, but he said 10% of their content by marketing is already being AI generated because they want to provide personalized content for each region. Right? So you want to give MENA content that's relevant for MENA. You want to give Asia or India content that's relevant for India, right? So they are very targeted. And of course, they have to keep regulations in mind. And so the AI can, go back and forth and see if it's within the guidelines as specified in that region. So consumer companies are the first to adopt these tools for customer care. That's very common. Finance is definitely adopting, but they don't talk about it because they don't want to scare people because you're dealing with financial data. I definitely know they are deploying and they're testing. That's where I'm seeing it. So consumer, B2C, retail, hospitality, they're going to go first.
How will AI impact customer acquisition? For example, will businesses optimize for humans or AI-powered buyers?
The answer is yes, both. All right. So all of us will have our primary AI agent that will represent us. And we invested in a startup called Skyfire, and that team is building AI agents that are finance related. And Skyfire, it has a verified identity that the agent belongs to you. And you can determine how much information of your identity should that agent disclose. You could say, go out and shop for a new car. What's a new, are you interested in an SUV or sedan? I just love to know, or a sports car. What's in your mind?
A McLaren. I'm in Dubai here. Yes.
Sports car. So you can send it to all the sports car companies on their websites and say, hey, I'm interested in this. I want to broker a deal. I represent a buyer. You look very trustworthy, by the way, who has a high credit score and high net worth, but I'm not going to tell you who he is. I'm not going to give you his phone number. Do you want to broker a deal? Right? So it's going to go broker for you, right? So it means that McLaren and Lambo and Ferrari need to prepare that they would be dealing with your buyer side agent. In addition, their goal is to get you to come in and do a test drive, right? So they also need to be preparing for you physically as well. So it's both. And they're going to launch their own seller side agents to converse with your agent. And so you don't have to do those negotiations.
It's hard for me to imagine. But just a follow-up question on that. with agents making transaction on behalf of users. What does the future of advertising, search, or even e-commerce look like?
Advertising is about to radically change. So as we talked about that, the AI agent will go and collect information on the internet for you and bring it back to you and even complete transactions. So you don't have to do any of those laborious tasks. And it means that they don't have to actually look at the ads or bring them back to you. So a couple of things are going to happen. So if you're paying for the agent, then you can be ad free. But if you're not paying for the agent, then it's going to serve up ads. Now, there's a couple ways that ads are going to change. So Perplexity, which is AI search, has already said they're going to have an ad marketplace where sellers can offer sponsored responses and questions. So what we're going to start to see very soon on the freemium versions is sponsored sentences in the generative returns. Second,
Sponsored sentences.
yeah, sponsored sentences. Sponsored sentences. And the second thing that we're going to see is that some ads are going to change. And instead of being ads, they're going to be offers. So you're looking for sports cars. It's going to say, hey, we have a discount on this sports car, or we have some special offer and access to a premium sports car that nobody else has, which is pretty important to buy. And this is something that you can take advantage of. So they'll shift from ads to be offers.
So I'm in contact with Mark Benioff team. He will come on my podcast in the summer. Because companies like Salesforce, HubSpot are launching their own enterprise AI agents. Who else is leading the race, and what strategies are they using?
Those two are the leaders. So Agent Force is, and by the way, Agent Force team was at my event last night, Llama Lounge. So they were there. And so I know what they're doing, and they've got those agents out there, and they're rolling out Agent Force. And it includes, right now there's 3 agents at least. There's a customer care, marketing, and a sales agent, and it's run by an orchestration platform. And they're rolling it out to the biggest brands in the world. So that's one. And then HubSpot, Dharmesh is the CEO. I know him. He's doing quite a bit as well. And he has launched Agent.ai, which is a marketplace of AI agents that sit on top of HubSpot and interact with HubSpot. So it's like a marketplace. It's like an app platform, but instead of apps, it's agents. And so they're doing that as well. By the way, all of this is a really interesting change, because if you're not going to visit apps or websites, you don't need an app platform. You don't need apps on your phone. You just have an agent on your phone that would be doing all those things. Like, you don't need an app platform. So that is another radical change beyond the internet. So you're right. HubSpot and Salesforce are leading the way right now, but the other enterprise giants are also jumping in the space.
What is the strategies that they're using to lead the space?
They're all testing. Like, there's not mass adoption of agents yet. It's way too early. So there's no best practices that are happening. But I will tell you that to lead the space, and it's my job to find out who is leading in the startup space. And that's why we invested in Crew, which is enterprise agents. The way they're leading is it's open source. So it spreads really fast. That's why it's in 60% of Fortune 500. And then there is a premium offering, a SaaS offering, or even an on-premise offering. So let it spread. Because again, enterprise sales cycles are long and expensive. You have to send salespeople to go convince the CTO, CPO, CIO, CFO, CEO, COO, CPO, and legal, right? It's just a massive amount of work. So instead, let the developers in the enterprise adopt it bottom up, and it bubbles up like a groundswell, and then you get adoption. So that's the secret sauce.
So I used to work in fintech, and we do KYC, know your customer. But you introduced me to a new concept, which is know your agent. And what is the biggest risk of AI-driven transactions?
Yes, trust. That's the biggest risk. So in the future, AI agents are going to complete most of the financial tasks for us. That is definitely going to happen. And you need to have an agent that is verified, and it's verified to your identity, and that you trust it. And it's going to have access to your bank account, to your credit card, to your inbox, to your emails, not all at once. And it's, when you want to give that permission, and it will be in stage gates as you trust it. And there should also be a review process before it buys anything of a certain threshold amount, or a product that you haven't purchased in the past. Like, I don't care if my AI agent spends $100 in toilet paper. It's like a small amount of money, and it's the brand that I want. I don't care, right? But if it's buying a new car, then obviously I need to be involved along the way, right? Now, yeah, I wanted to do the research and broker the best deal, but ultimately I'm going to test drive the car and make that decision. So it depends on the product type, the amount of money, and the product category that we'd have to think about when that would actually happen. but it is absolutely true that the AI agent will be completing the financial transactions for us.
I mean, that's a big statement.
Yeah, well, I'm a VC. I have to have big ideas and back the right founders to make these world-changing bets. And that's, I bet on a company that is going to do that.
There's another thing that I notice as well, which is some employees or knowledge workers, they're hesitant to adopt AI, and they see AI agents as a threat. And especially since we're talking about AI agents are set to replace low value, repetitive tasks, how will this reshape knowledge work and employment?
Great question. A sensitive topic, I understand. And numerous people in my family are knowledge workers at big companies, and they could be under threat. I understand that. I see that, right? I could be under threat. There's already talk about how we don't need VCs. AI agents should be able to suss out the best deals. We could talk about that too. And we should be able to do that. I want to find that startup so I can invest in them, so I can replace myself. So that is the thinking. So what I just said is like, I want to find the solution. I want to adopt it and lead it. Like that is the attitude to have rather than to be fearful and fight it. It's like trying to fight the internet in 1999. It's like trying to fight social media in 2005. It's like trying to fight the sharing economy in 2010. Like it's inevitable. So you're going to be better positioned if you're the one leading it in your company. So if you're a knowledge worker, I'm going to talk right to you. If you're a knowledge worker, you want to find the best practices to get an AI to sift through the existing knowledge and to make it natural language for anybody to get that information and surface up net new value, new reports, find inconsistencies in the data, help to dedupe data, create new data so everybody has access to the data, and you're the person leading that program. That is how you be successful, is you lead the AI adoption at your company. Don't be fearful of it.
Oh, thanks. That was very inspirational. I will definitely, this will gonna be a soundbite. There's another thing, which is in my startup this morning, I would have a meeting with my team. We were discussing the organizational chart. Who's going to report to who's going to be responsible for performance reviews. And AI agents are becoming colleagues, managers, and even competitors. What does that mean for organizational structures? I already have a board that I report to. Don't tell me I have to report to an AI agent now.
There's a lot of people that have been reporting to an AI for 10 years. Who are they? They're the Uber drivers, the Kareem drivers, the Lyft drivers. They already report to an AI. They don't even know who the managers, the dispatcher is an AI that says, here's your waypoint. You got to go pick these things up. And it determines the waypoint, what you got to do, what you got to pick up. Like they're already reporting to AI. Every e-commerce company that has a manufacturing or a factory plant, those people are often reporting to an AI. That's already happening in Amazon, where they just are being efficient. The AI is telling them which boxes to get, how to do that. Sure, there's a human manager in the background, but most of the orders are coming from an AI. So that is already happening to date. Now, does that sound scary, dystopian? Yeah, it could be. But we can also use these AIs as our colleagues to help us be more efficient. So we just talked about how knowledge workers could use AI to increase the value of knowledge within their organization. So that can be something that can happen as well. And in Silicon Valley, we're already seeing startups and we can't tell sometimes, like, is there humans creating them? So there's a website called there's an AI for that.com. And I think there's like 32,000 AI startups. And I know the founder, and I said, can you tell which ones are created by humans or AI? He's like, I can't tell. We don't know. So it's possible that some of these services that we might use in the future are from AI. They can end up being our partners or even our customers or competitors. I know that's a wild thought, but I call that whole category an autonomous organization where we're going to see they're just run by, and we don't know who created them. By the way, Bitcoin is not too far off from that. We don't know who or what Satoshi is. It was probably a human, but if there's a new type of technology that it's anonymous, we may not even know, like, how was it created?
Now AI agents are very proactive. They're reading my emails, listening to my conversation, and even predicting my needs. How should society navigate the balance between convenience and privacy?
Ooh, that is the question. And there's always going to be this trade-off. I think it's hard to have a balance of both privacy and convenience. I think that's very hard. You just have to pay a lot more money. And not everybody's going to be able to do that. Most people will not. So for those that want to have a more efficient life and you turn things over to AI, you're going to be giving up your personal data in order for that AI agent to be more successful. I mean, this is the same thing as having assistants, right? So right now, billionaires have a personal assistant, a publicist, a driver, a chef, a cook, a physical trainer, a security guard. They got all of those things, right? And they can afford it. Most of us are not billionaires. I'm not a billionaire. So, but I can kind of behave and like one and reap the benefits of one by using AI. So I can have AI plan my schedule, read my emails. I can use AI for security, software security. Like I can have it coach me on my fitness and help me plan out a healthy meal. So it's like I can live like a billionaire, but only for a couple $100 per month.
Man, because you're a VC and you invest in AI, you know where the bodies are buried. And now I'm opening the podcast to a lot of AI agent startups. They want to come on the podcast. But what is the most common mistakes that you see AI startups make when building an AI agent-based products?
Yes. So I run an event series in Silicon Valley for almost 2 years now called Llama Lounge. And it is one of the longest running, largest generative AI events for founders. We allow 10 startups to demo at each event. And the wait list right now is 900 startups have applied. And we're just slowly getting through it. Yeah. And if the project is a copycat project, it's like similar to others, like big mistake. And that's just a bad market to be in. So we talked about customer care and marketing is already flooded space. Like a personal health agent, like I've seen a lot of those too. It's like you need to find an open market, I think, is a critical thing because otherwise it's just hard to get customers, hard to get investors, hard to get users. It's just too hard. So that's number one. The number two big mistake is you have to do direct sales to make your deals work. Now, I know as a pre-seed founder, that's often common, but it means you lack product-led growth. So you need to build into your strategy, how does your product spread? Whether it's B2C, B2B, or B2BC, it doesn't matter. The product should naturally spread user to user, customer to customer. So you got to figure that out early on and make that part of your strategy. Not only is that a great story to VCs like me at Blitzscaling, but it's more efficient for you. You don't need as much marketing or sales. The product will spread once you have product market fit.
So I was talking to a friend. He's an exited founder, and he wants to go into the AI agent space. And he was asking me, because you mentioned there's a lot of copycats. And his question is, what moats would you recommend that he should focus on?
A couple of moats. So we already talked about viral effects and network effects, which are the two hallmarks of blitzscaling. A third moat would be access to private data. So either you train your models on private data. So we invested in a Canadian startup called Make It, which does generative floor plans, like architectural floor plans for residential owners. And they trained on tens of thousands of existing blueprints that already exist that only they could get their hands on and digitized. So that is a moat, right? Or maybe there's a music generative AI app and they've trained on existing songs that were rights produced. Or you have access to art that nobody else has access to and it's rights approved, right? Then you can produce that content and that is a moat that protects you. Not only do you have original content, but legally you can sue other people that try to grift your stuff. So having proprietary data is a key moat in addition to viral effects and network effects.
The region, we started to talk about regulations. And I know that in the US, you guys are kind of matured, or you already started having this conversation much earlier than what we had. But AI agent development is much faster than any regulation. Any risk that you would foresee for founders in the next 2 to 3 years?
Well, it depends. Are you selling to the government? Because then you got to pay attention. But if you're not selling to the government, so the Silicon Valley way is a very specific mindset. It's changed a little bit in the last few years. But generally the Silicon Valley mindset is just build as fast as you can. And if you run into regulatory problems, you just, you smash them and you go past them and you move faster, right? So, and typically in the past, the US government's been slow to tech, but that's changed recently because the tech industry is now integrated into the current administration. So they're actually helping to change policy. So that's a change that has happened recently. So the whole strategy has changed. And so that is something to be aware of. because that could happen in your market as well.
So you're saying that the Silicon Valley way is just move fast and ask for forgiveness later.
That was the strategy. Now the strategy in Silicon Valley is to be part of the government and shape the government and change regulation to benefit. And this gets into politics, which I really don't want to get into, but at a high level, that is what is happening right now.
There's going to be a fourth moat, no?
Yeah, so regulation is a moat. Absolutely. That is a moat.
So I heard Bill Gates says whoever wins the personal agent wins the internet. Who are the most serious contenders?
Well, you would hope that he's talking about Microsoft, right? So his quote kind of goes like this, and it was in CNBC. I reference it often. He says, whoever wins the personal agent, that's the big thing, because you never have to go to Amazon again. You never have to go to search again. He's talking about Google. And you never have to go to a productivity site again. He's talking about Slack or Figma or something like that. And because this goes back to the thesis that we have. And when I saw him say that, that's actually when my thesis for investment crystallized. It's like, oh, okay, AI agents will be the primary interface. And therefore, that's how we're going to, at the fund that I'm running, that's how we think about what's going to happen. So I thank you, Bill, for the clarity that you had years ago that I get to execute on. So that is true. However, that changes, right? Because every big tech company that's under threat is changing. You see Google is rolling out agent tools as fast as possible because they don't want to be disrupted. So they want to be part of this. The challenge is most of their revenue comes from ads. So how do you lead in a market where ads are just not wanted or needed because AI agents can strip that apart? So they have to figure out and rechange their business model. So the likely winner is OpenAI in the search space and Perplexity, right? That's the way that they can win that category. For e-commerce companies need to launch an API that would connect to the buyer side agent. And so we'll see some winner emerge in that category. In the productivity space, and you can see Aaron Levy from Box talking about this a lot because he has data, right? He has the data layer, all the documents in the enterprise. He's talking a lot about AI agents, or his executive communications teams is writing it for him, or his AI agents writing it for him. But I think he's understanding that you will have a new type of interface in the enterprise right now. And I used to work in enterprise, and I worked in it, and I sold enterprise software as a marketer. There's all these enterprise apps. They all suck and they don't talk to each other, and they all have different interfaces, right? And they're all like very proprietary, and it doesn't work together well in a company. So imagine that your company issues an AI agent, and that's your one interface, and it will go to all those different apps for you and do those tasks for you. So the whole app layer, the whole SaaS model that we know it is just not needed if an enterprise agent is successful. So there's a big change there as well. Lots of disruptions.
AI agents eventually will replace websites, apps, search engines. And how should businesses, especially the ones that are consumer facing, rethink their digital presence?
So I just want to reframe. They don't replace those services. They go to those services, get the information, and complete it for you. You don't have to go to them, right? So I just want to make sure they don't replace them. They are the conduit for the end user, whether it's consumer or business, it doesn't matter, right? That's the change. So if you're making websites, and I was a keynote at the WP Engine conference this week, who makes WordPress websites. They host WordPress websites. And so I told them you have a couple strategies. One, you need to launch an API that is fast for the agent. So this is an important thing. Currently, the AI agents, which are often browser extensions or their own standalone apps, are clicking through every single link on a website. They're grabbing all of the text on the website, and they're using natural language processing with an LLM to understand what it is. Then they fill out the forms and they click on things. They're simulating the human behavior. That's so inefficient, and it actually breaks often. So the winners in this space are going to offer an API right for the agent to have initial contact. So you don't even need a website. It'll be a very different thing. It might be website.com/agents. And then that would be an API that the agent will connect to, and your agent will have those direct connections. So that's an important concept. Secondly, every single website or app will have its own AI seller side agent that will talk to your buyer side agent in a more efficient way in natural language. And it will be grabbing information from the existing database or the CRM or whatever it is. So there'll be a new way that they would interface. So I think that's an important way that I'm going to see the market change.
And AI agents will operate 24/7, making autonomous decisions. What safeguards Any language. What safeguards need to be in place to ensure they align with human values?
That is a question for tech in general, AI agents, AI, LLMs, and tech and social networks and all of that. And that is going to be a continued debate till the end of time, right? Um, it comes down to who owns them and who's paying for it. So it's important that you are paying for the AI agent that is serving you, or you're serving it. And we saw this in social networks like, free, Facebook's free, yay. Oh, wait a sec. They took all my data. Where did it go? Oh, they sold it. Ugh. Right. So that is an important that you have a premium agent that you pay for, that you understand that it is serving you. And I think that's an important thing. So you got to be prepared to pay for that agent.
And let's say if we travel to 2030, what is the most shocking AI agent powered experience you expect will be mainstream by then?
You'd have one or two AI agents on your phone, maybe three. And those are the only apps that you use for all your communications, getting all your information, completing your most basic tasks, and all of the laborious stuff that you don't want to do, those agents do it for you. Now, there's a number of experiences that you're going to want to do, like gaming, social, messaging with your family, live video with your family, luxury website experiences, news, right? Those are things you want to lean in and do. We love doing those things. Frankly, we're addicted to it. Certain types of shopping, luxury products, right? Those are things we want to lean in to do. But all the other stuff we don't want to do, email management, like scheduling things, filling out your expense report, you don't want to do that. Like, that's not fun. So your AI agent's going to do those things for you. And so it's going to reduce the number of apps that you have. Oh, sorry. It's going to reduce the number of apps that you use. The apps would still be on your phone because the agent has to go tap into the app or tap into the data, but you physically would not be clicking on that app.
Man, that's insane. Again, I'm trying to imagine it, but again, my mind cannot comprehend it.
Would love to just share with you the energy in Silicon Valley and invite any of the listeners to come out and visit, because there's just so much. So earlier I spoke about how 1/3 of the billboards on Highway 101, which is between Silicon Valley and San Francisco, are about AI. So it's booming. On average, there's a website called Cerebral Valley, great group. There's over 100 AI events in Silicon Valley per month. Last night, there was 15 AI events, all happening between Palo Alto, San Jose, and San Francisco. 15 events. Every weekend, there's at least 2 hackathons. Each hackathon has 200 to 400 developers, each one. And they code from Friday to Sunday building new things. Every weekend. It's insane, right? So that's 8 hackathons on average per month. Hundreds of events. The VCs are here. The corporates are here looking for the startups to partner with. The authors, the researchers, like it's really happening here. It's not limited to Silicon Valley, but the best founders fly in, they make their connections, and they go back to the region. Dubai has obviously a tech scene. So does Paris, London, and Shanghai, and Hong Kong, Singapore. It's all over the globe, but the level of energy just within Silicon Valley is intense on AI.
We have a few AI founders here. They go to Silicon Valley, and specifically, they love your event, your AI event. Can you talk a little bit more about it, and why did you start in the first place, Llama?
Thank you. So I just said there's 100 AI events plus per month, and they all have similar names: AI Meetup, ML Meetup, AGI Meetup or event. I was like, man, I need to come up with a name that's unique. So I went to one event, and for some reason, it was the Hugging Face event. They brought physical llamas, like real hairy live llamas. And I looked at that llama and I said, Llama Lounge. And an alliteration, it just falls off the tongue. It rhymes. It's cute. And everybody remembers Llama Lounge. Then I worked with an agency called Sitebox, who works on my websites and of the portfolio company. And they made me a great logo, Llama Lounge. So I had a real brand identity with a unique name that's memorable. And so I started this. And this was before I had the job at the VC firm, but I built the community. I knew that community was really important. That's a key part of who I am. And I help to serve the founders. I bring investors and corporate buyers, and the more founders come, it grew and grew and grew. We started in a small pizza shop in May 2023. And last night here in Palo Alto, hosted at Stanford, like the #1 school for AI, we had 500 to 600 people. It's just grown and grown and grown. And there was over 100 VCs. The corporate leaders were all there, and hundreds of founders and students who are working in AI all together in ecosystem. And then I get to see who are the best founders, who should I give money to, who should I back. I'm able to watch the ecosystem physically, and it just gives me that ability and that edge to solve the business goals, but to help everybody else win. I want everybody to win, not just what I do. So that's what Llama Lounge is. It's about community.
And how do you build a community? Because here we have a lot of communities. After 1-2 months, people just disperse and dissipate.
It's about bringing together the different groups in the ecosystem, and that creates a network effect, right? We just talked about that earlier, right? So I'm using the blitzscaling tactics, right? So I bring in the buyers and the sellers. I bring in the funders and the founders. I bring in the students and the hiring group. So all these cross connections versus just one role, there's no network effect. You can have a great event just for founders. You can have a great event just for VCs, but the value expands when you have the different ecosystems. And I published the list on the Llama page of here's all the corporates that are coming, and here's all the VC firms that are coming. Everybody sees it, and all the founders say, I need in, I need in, I need in, I need in. And so they flood in. Then I tell all the corporates and I tell all the VCs, look at all the founders that are coming. And then it just has its own natural moat. I don't really do any marketing other than the Llama tools or my own social media. So at every event, there's typically 20 LinkedIn posts and videos from the audience. I don't have to do it. And so they do it. I retweet it or I repost it. So they do the viral effect. So I'm absolutely using the Reid Hoffman, Chris Ye methods of blitzscaling to let that thing grow on its own. And last thing is my budget for the event is $300 each event. We bring 10 blitzscaling books, and I pay for a Llama account and my Uber ride. That's it. So the host does all of the operations and the food. And my hosts have been SAP, Amazon, Capgemini. We're at Zoom next. We'll be at SAP again. I'm talking to some other big giant tech companies. They host the event. They do all the logistics and events. I don't spend money on a $50,000 venue. That's how much it costs, and the food. I don't do it. They do it, but I bring the community. So that's the way the partnership works. And there's no sponsors. It's the host and Llama Lounge together. And so the host is the co-brand. So that's how I've rolled it out. There's my secret sauce. Last thing is very unique that there's 100 events in Silicon Valley, but only one event has an audio signature. And so at the start of the event, I blow a giant conch shell, and it's loud, and everybody knows it's call and response, and they scream, and everybody remembers, there's that sound, we're kicking off. And it's kind of like a ceremony. So I make it unique in that way. So that's the formula of Llama Lounge. It's about community and stupid Jeremiah tricks.
But what about consistency? Because you've been consistent for more than 1 year now. And how do you build trust within the community as well?
It's no problem. So I have been running events in Silicon Valley for 20 years. It's I'm known to bring community around. It's just who I am. So it's just native to me to run events and meetups and to speak at events. It's built inside of me.
And how do you build trust inside the community, Llama Lounge?
You let them trust each other. So being consistent is part of the trust, right? And everybody knows the format and the flow. So I don't have to do much, right? They know that they're going to get this experience. They know these types of people are coming. So I don't mix it up. They know that there's this brand consistency with the event series. And we carefully filter. So 350 people were not invited to the event. They applied, but we declined them. All great people, amazing professionals, but not the right roles. So we know that there's the specific roles to make the ecosystem work for the AI founders. They want to be around funders and corporate buyers and influencers. So we bring those people around, then the AI founders come. So you got to know who you're serving. I'm serving the AI CEOs.
What's one takeaway you want people to remember about AI agents?
AI agents are going to be incredible helpers to make us more efficient. They should do the tasks that we don't want to do so we can do the things that we love to do. What do I want to do? I want to go do CrossFit. I want to be with my kids. I want to go into nature. I want to get back into music. I haven't done it in a while. So if I can have AI agents to give me more hours in my life to do the things that I love, then I think the whole world could benefit.
Beautifully said. And where can our audience know more about Blitzscaling Ventures or more about Llama Lounge? We have a lot of investors, a lot of founders that listen to the podcast, and they're very interested and they're building things in AI.
I would be delighted to network with those amazing people, and you bring together an amazing community yourself. So blitzscalingventures.com is where you can learn about the firm. I do seed stage and Series A startups, and we are very transparent about what we look for. We actually publish the scorecard on the website so you can understand what do we look for. And again, Reid Hoffman reviews the deals that we bring forward, so it's very clear. And then two, yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. My account is J Owyang. It's my first name, last name, and you can find lots of stuff. And if you come to Silicon Valley, we got a Llama calendar for the Llama Lounge events. So we got a bunch lined up for this year. Thank you.